Today's incident will awaken your soul. That's why I request you, please watch the incident till the very end. The story I am going to tell you today is so unbelievable that it will be hard to believe after hearing it. This is the story of a house where the customs were strange, and the way the brothers-in-law treated a woman was so horrible that humanity would bow its head in shame. My name is Kamran, and I am a simple man from Karachi, Pakistan. My livelihood is my rickshaw. Just like every other day that morning, I was waiting for passengers. Suddenly, a husband and wife came and asked me to take them to the station. The passengers were good, and the fare was a bit high, so I agreed immediately. After dropping them off at the station and just turning around, I saw a girl coming from the front. It seemed like she was going somewhere, so I stopped the rickshaw. She was about 25 to 26 years old. She wore a sari, and there was a strange wobble in her walk. Silently, she came and sat in the rickshaw and gestured to move. I thought maybe she just wanted to go to the main road. So, I started driving the rickshaw. While driving, I kept looking at her through the rear view mirror. On her forehead was a tip, bindi, which showed that she was a follower of the Hindu religion. Within a few minutes, we left the path to the station. I turned back and asked, "Madam, where do you want to go?" But there was no answer. She was tightly holding a bundle to her chest, which might have been her only possession. I asked again. Then she said, "Keep driving forward." It seemed like she was new in the city. Maybe she would recognize the place on the way. So I kept driving like that until even the main road was far behind. Then I asked again, "Madam, please say something. Where will you get down?" This time she said, "Drop me where there is a Muslim neighborhood." I said, "There are Muslims all around here, but tell me a specific address or name." She lowered her gaze and said in a suppressed voice, "I don't need to go anywhere. Drop me wherever you wish." Hearing that, I was a bit surprised. Annoyed, I said, "If you didn't have a destination, then why did you travel?" The moment she heard that, she broke down in tears. Her tears melted my heart. I looked back and saw she was like a soft flower. In her eyes there was depth and a pain like the silence of a century. I gently said, "Listen, madam, I didn't mean to say that. Wherever you want to go, I'll take you without fare. Just tell me without hesitation." In a trembling voice she said, "I have no one in this world. I have no place, no shelter. Take me with you. If you want, keep me as a maid. Just give me 2 handfuls of food. I won't complain." Her words struck me as if I were a king and she my crown princess. Let me also tell you, I limp with one leg. I drive the rickshaw using a wooden leg. That's why no one in the village wants to give their daughter to me. Who would give their daughter to a one-legged, jobless man? But at that moment, it felt like maybe this was my destiny. I told her, "If you don't mind, I'm willing to marry you. We can continue like this. Or if you want time, stay at Tarulaman. When your heart agrees, let me know." Hearing that, a strange light lit up in her eyes. With a face like a sweet sunrise, she said, "You are a very good man, sir. What more do I want? Please marry me. I am ready now." Her simplicity and innocent words charmed me. I felt, if this girl can bring so much joy in a few moments of life, what will it be like for a lifetime? Thinking that, I called my friend Faisal. I told him the whole story. After a brief silence, he softly said, "Come run by, the matter is deep. Take your decision thoughtfully." Then he said, "From your words, it seems the girl is simple and pure-hearted." His job was to give advice, and he gave it. Then he said, "Bring her to the court." Until then, I hadn't asked her name. After hanging up, I looked at her and gently asked, "What's your name?" With a soft smile, she said, "Simran." Her name was just as simple and touching as she was. I turned the rickshaw around and reached the court within 10 minutes. I entered Faisal Bai's chamber. He first demanded sweets. Laughing, I said, "Eat sweets after this marriage." Then I told him again that I want to marry this girl. He called us to his office, arranged tea and water, and called 2 or 3 friends and arranged for a qazi, marriage registrar. There were 4 or 5 people present in Faisal Bai's office. I felt that if Simran had a scarf, she could have covered her head, but she was wearing a sari. Her long hair fell over her waist. I gathered courage and remained patient. During the marriage, I found out that Simran had accepted Islam a few days ago. She still didn't know about prayers or fasting, but I wasn't surprised. Her face already showed that she had taken the first steps into a new journey. Faisal Bai carefully asked one question. "Are you unmarried?" Instead of answering, she remained silent. Faisal Bai assumed her shyness as a yes and completed the Nikah Nama, marriage registration form. In this way, we were bound in the sacred bond of husband and wife. At that moment, it felt like a new sunrise had come into my life. Those who used to say that due to my limping walk and poverty, I would never get married, they would be shocked to see Simran with me. I decided that the next day I would take a day off from rickshaw and take Simran to the village. I would show everyone that Allah gave me a beautiful, faithful wife, whose beauty and heart are both incomparable. The feelings that arise after marriage cannot be expressed in words. I felt like suddenly I had fallen in love with Simran. I bought a shawl from the market. I made her sit in the rickshaw and brought her home. After returning home, I made tea with my own hands and presented it to her. After drinking the tea, she became refreshed. I was tired too, but the intensity of joy made me forget all my exhaustion. I told her, "You stay here, I'll bring new clothes for you." I don't know why, but the old clothes didn't seem to suit her. I went to the market and spent almost half of my savings just for Simran. I brought new clothes, food items, and some essential supplies. When I came back home, I saw her sitting silently, waiting for me. I gave her the clothes with a smiling face and said, "Wash your hands and face." By that time, I was preparing the food nicely. She nodded in agreement and went to bathe. When she came out, her beauty shone even more. I just kept staring at her. She looked much more beautiful than before. Her honey-colored skin, pink lips, and silky hair. She looked like a picture from imagination. When I looked deeply into her eyes, she lowered her gaze in shyness. I felt like a beggar had found a maiden from paradise. I fed her with my own hands. I showed her the warmth of my love, and I saw... Her face no longer showed irritation. Rather, peace and satisfaction had spread across it. My own habits had suddenly changed from a monk-like life, as if I was living in a beautiful dream, and I never wanted to wake up from it. My small room, where I used to live alone, now had the light of a companion instead of loneliness. Our days and nights began to fill with joy. I changed Simran's name to Mariam, a sacred name of spiritual and loving meaning. Whenever I tried to learn about her family or past life, she would either avoid the topic or fall into such silence that I didn't dare ask again. I didn't want to make her uncomfortable, so I didn't pressure her. I already prefer to live in the present, not in the past or future. I gave my full attention to our relationship. One day, I thought of taking Mariam to a nearby park. She had once said that she was related to a strange tribe or a missing community where unique customs were followed, and women were rarely allowed to go outside. The city was a new world for her. Taking her to the park, I saw in her eyes the innocence and freshness of childhood. She looked at the swing and smiled, but she hesitated to sit on it. I didn't force her either. We came out of the park and sat in a small tea shop. I noticed that a man kept staring at us repeatedly. His interest was in Mariam. Although I never believe in fighting or chaos, still, I couldn't tolerate his gaze anymore. Suddenly, the man started typing something on his phone. Then he held the phone to his ear and said, "Hey, Shabila, this is big news worth telling you. Come to the station. I'll tell you everything." After saying this, he put down the phone, turned to us again, and left the kitchen area. Miriam was unaware of all this, but my mind filled with a strange kind of unease and fear. We quickly finished our food and I took her outside. On the way, I felt like someone might be following us. But whenever I looked back, everything seemed normal. I couldn't figure out whether it was my imagination or reality. About an hour later, we returned home. By that time, the Maghrib Adhan was being heard. I told Miriam that I was going to the mosque for prayer, and strictly told her, if anyone comes, don't open the door. Even if they say my name, just say I went to pray. Half an hour later, I returned and saw Miriam scared and nervous. Tears were flowing from her eyes. I asked, "What happened?" She said while crying, "Shortly after you left, a man was banging hard on the door. It felt like he was going to break the door and enter. Maybe a neighbor said something and that's why he left." I comforted her. I said, "Maybe a child was trying to scare you. Maybe an old friend of mine came to joke around. Some of my friends really do foolish things." I asked the neighbors. They said that after I went for prayer, 2 strangers came. They had never been seen in the area before. Everyone looked at them with suspicion and told them to leave the neighborhood. After hearing this, a wave of unease rose in my heart. Who were they? And what did they want from us? The next day was Friday, and on Fridays I always stay home, because I don't drive the rickshaw on Fridays. My new wife Miriam had fully become a member of my life in the past month. That day, as usual, I went out to get sweet halwa and luchi from the shop. When I returned, I saw 2 strangers standing at the door banging hard on it. I asked calmly, "Who are you?" In reply, they got angry and said, "You're hiding our wife in your house." I was completely shocked. "What woman?" "There's only my wife at home. Her name is Miriam." They said, "We know everything. She's our wife. You've kept her locked in here by force. Open the door or we'll peel your skin off." Their faces looked like they belonged to some criminal gang. When I saw their threats and aggression, I lost my patience. I put the halwa and luchi aside, shook my hands, and said in a stern voice, "If you have the courage, then go take a look at my wife. This is my neighborhood, and everyone here knows me. If you speak another word, you'll be beaten so badly that you won't be able to walk home." Hearing my words, one of them grabbed my collar and said, "Seems like you don't know me. My name is Shabila, and when people hear my name, even big guys tremble." I looked into his eyes and replied, "Shabila, without a gun, don't mess with me. Do whatever you want, I'm not afraid of you." Hearing our shouting and arguing, the neighbors gathered around. Everyone realized the situation was getting heated, so someone informed the police. Within a few moments, the police arrived at our door. The situation had become strange. There was no other way to stop these thugs. As soon as the police came, they got scared and tried to run. But the police caught them. The police's stern question was, "Why are you dragging away a decent man?" The people of the neighborhood stood by my side. In response, they said, "This man has forcefully confined a woman from our tribe in his house." Hearing this, the police called the female constable and ordered a house search. Miriam heard it all and became terrified and disheartened. She was trembling. In a shaking voice, she said, "I am this man's wife. I came here of my own will." I also presented the marriage certificate and convinced the police with all the evidence. The police ordered to take those criminals to the station. After they left, I felt a little relieved and came back to my senses. I started thinking, who were they really? Did they really have any relationship with Miriam? The scene at the food shop came to mind, where a man was circling us and talking about Shabila on the phone. Today this thug also called himself Shabila. After closing the door, I saw Mariam crying. There were tears in her eyes, but in my heart there was an expression of love. I did not doubt her character. I gave her breakfast and offered her water. Then I opened up to her and said, "Mariam, you have become a part of my life. But if you don't tell me anything about your past, then how will I be able to protect you? God forbid if they come back and cause harm, then I will be completely shattered." After my repeated questions, at last, Mariam broke her silence. She bowed her head and said, "My relation is with such a tribe that has neither religion nor law. The man who called himself Shabila and kept threatening us at the door, he is actually my married husband, and the one who was with him is his younger brother." When I asked Mariam for more detail, she bowed her head and said, "They are 7 brothers, and they had no sister. They had formed a kind of gangster group in their tribe, which they called their force, and they used their power to make everyone submit. From the outside, this area seemed decent and well-mannered, but inside every house there was some dark chapter hidden, which couldn't even be described in words. In this village, no marriage was completed without gold and silver. The bride would be wrapped in jewelry, and people would spend their entire life savings to arrange the wedding. But what happened after marriage was unknown to anyone in society. 6 months ago, I also got married. I was weighed in gold. A large sum of money was given to my parents. In this way, I became a member of Chabila's household. Chabila's fear was spread across the entire area. He had 6 more brothers, and perhaps that's why he considered himself very powerful. On the day of marriage itself, not finding any woman in the house made me feel an odd discomfort. Chabila's brothers started teasing me in the name of fun, which became a cause of mental agony for me. I was familiar with the customs and traditions of the area, where new brides were expected to serve, even their sisters-in-law and brothers-in-law. In fact, often it was said that spending the night with them was permissible, but my heart was completely unable to accept any of it. Their gazes, words, and behavior became disgusting to me. From that day, a new phase of torture began, which never seemed to end. I became a silent puppet in that house. All day I used to make bread, fetch water, sweep the floors. And when night came, I faced a painful experience. I felt like I was not a human being, but a goat whom the parents had tied to a post. The most shocking thing was that in daylight, these people used to call me Bab Hijan, and pretended to be respectful and dignified in front of the whole tribe. One day, I trusted an old woman from the neighboring house and shared my pain with her. She sighed deeply and said, "I also had 3 younger brothers-in-law and 2 elder ones. I never objected to who my husband was. Girls like you who are modern are very strange. It is every woman's duty to serve all the men of the house. You have to understand the meaning of being a woman. Enduring is tied to your destiny." Hearing their words, my soul trembled. I asked them, "What?" In every house, such behavior and abuse are going on. They bowed their heads and said, "Our customs are like this, and you also have to accept them." Maybe this is the reason. People used to take everything from the girl's family as dowry. But after marriage, no one even thought about what the girl was going through. Since childhood, I had received some guidance from a sacred soul, which could never accept this filth. I decided to escape. But I didn't know where to go. A little away from the settlement, there was a crossroads where a bus was standing. Without thinking, I got onto a bus. The only fear in my heart was, I must never return to that darkness again. The journey was long, but I felt peace in my heart that at least I had escaped that hell. In one corner of the bus, a young couple was sitting. The man had a bright beard on his face, and the girl was wearing a black burqa. I was staring at them with wonder and sorrow in my eyes. How much simplicity, how much purity was between them. Suddenly my eyes fell on a shameless man sitting in the front seat. He was staring deeply at the girl in the burqa. But as soon as her husband noticed, a terrible storm appeared on his face. Becoming a reflection of self-respect and protection, that man pounced on the other one like thunder. He publicly scolded him. Then the conductor and other staff of the bus jumped on that shameless man. Eventually, he was thrown out of the bus. I was amazed to see this scene. Can a man really offer such protection for his wife? But in my area, manhood meant if a woman caught others' attention, her owner was even ready to hand her over to others for a small amount of money. But today, I witnessed a scene that became a ray of hope for me. I found out that the man was a Muslim. Right then, I made a decision in my heart. If I ever get married, it will only be to a Muslim man, one who gives protection and respect to his wife, not one who sees her as a market item. This was the reason. When I got into your rickshaw, I said, "Drop me off at a Muslim's residence." And when I met you, the peace and calm I saw in your eyes assured my heart, yes, you are the one who can be my shelter. When you argued with Sabila, a feeling was born in my heart that I can never describe. I became indebted to you. Please forgive my mistakes. I will keep you as the crown on my head for the rest of my life. If you ask, I will even give my life. But for the sake of Allah, never separate me from yourself. Truly, Islam is such a great religion, where women are not only honored, but they are considered an amana, trust. I embraced Maryam and reassured her, "You are my wife, my honor, and always will be. I value your honesty. I will never leave you alone." After that, I taught her how to read the Quran. I helped her memorize the Kalima Shahada and taught her the rules of prayer, Salah. Now Maryam is attentive to prayer. She has forgotten her past and embraced a new life. We left that old area and began a new life in a new place. Since her arrival, only blessings have come into my life. Before, I had one rickshaw. Now I have 4. Income is good. Career is progressing. I am fully convinced. It is all Allah's mercy that came with Maryam's fate. If I had rejected her or treated her cruelly, perhaps all this honor would have gone far from me. Now she is happy with me, content. We have 2 lovely children, 4 rickshaws, and a life full of pure love. I pray that Allah keeps our bond strong. Ameen.